Welcome everybody to Navigating the Stressors of Distance Learning. I want to thank you all for being here during, I'm guessing, your lunchtime. I know things are a little stressful right now when it comes to switching over to distance learning, and you guys are still doing it. You guys are still in class, and keep it going. So let's go ahead and get started. Before we start, I want to give some updates for CalVet and the CalTAP program. So since March, we've actually started doing our webinar series for veterans across California. These webinars focus on everything from suicide prevention, financial literacy. We had a couple in there for employment. But you can find those past webinars on our website. If you go to our calvet.ca.gov and you click on that CalTAP banner there in the middle, down on the next page at the bottom of the screen, you will find a link for the past webinars. There you'll find the recordings along with PDF copies of the slides that we used during those webinars. All right, so let's go ahead and tell you what the day is going to look like. We're going to go ahead and start off with a quick overview of the CalTAP program and some of the benefits that we have to offer to California veterans across the state. After I'm done with that, we'll go into Anthony Rodriguez, who will speak a little bit about the links, the local interagency network coordinators, and the CVSOs within California, and how both those agencies work to help out veterans within California. So they'll go over the roles and responsibilities. Once Anthony's done, we'll hear from Jessica. Jessica Peak is the director and counselor from the Veteran Resource Center there at East Los Angeles College's on East Los Angeles College's campus, and she'll talk about some of the strategies on how to overcome those stressors when it comes to distance learning. And then followed by Jessica, we'll have Nicole Souders. I believe that's how you say her last name. And if I'm wrong, please tell me. But she will talk about how to navigate those stressors and overcome those barriers. After we're done with those presenters, we'll go straight into the virtual panel. So at this time, if you have any questions, that's where you'll go ahead and answer them or ask them. We have a chat function that you'll be using. So if you have questions for any one of the presenters, feel free to ask the question in the chat. We'll use those to facilitate the question and answers portion at the end of the workshop. All right, so like I said, I'm gonna give a quick overview of the CalTAP program. My name is Michael Cisneros. I'm a training coordinator for CalVet. And I've been with CalVet since November, so I'm relatively new, but working with the veteran community is something that I feel fortunate to have to be a part of. While I was in school, I did a lot of my research on the veteran community. So I'm just happy to kind of go, and I'm also a veteran, so it's nice to go full circle. So let's go ahead and start. What is CalTAP? CalTAP is a transition assistance program that's designed to inform and connect veterans of all eras to their earned state and federal benefits, as well as provide continuous support and assistance as their needs change over time. And so what we've done to help veterans navigate those benefits is we've broken them down into 4 different pathways. And those pathways are going to be entrepreneurship, employment, education, and then also a general core curriculum of benefits that don't fit into those topics that I just mentioned. Like I said earlier, you can find our website through a simple Google search. Google calvet.ca.gov. Our website should be one of the first ones that pops up in the list. If you click on that, this is what our homepage looks like. You'll find the CalTAP. Okay, before we move on to the CalTAP, down at the bottom of the homepage, you will find a link that says Veteran Resource Book. If this was a in-person presentation, each of you would have a copy of the resource book sitting in front of you. However, because we can't do that, we have to be online. This book is now a PDF version on our website. The book is gold. If you check it out, everything that we discussed today regarding the benefits can be found in the resource book. And if you have any questions about what I discussed, or if you know of a particular benefit that we didn't discuss today, feel free to check it out. If you have any questions about that, you could always give us a call. The number on the back of the book or at the last page of the book, the PDF copy, is going to be a number that takes you directly to us. So any questions that you have, we'll be able to answer them. That's what the PDF copy looks like, the start of the book. So just check it out if you get a chance. All right, so back at the top of the page, if you click on the CalTAP banner in the middle of the screen, you're taken to our pathways page that looks like this. With the pathways, as you can see, you have the education pathway, entrepreneurship pathway, employment pathway, and core curriculum. There is a service provider pathway, that fifth pathway right there. However, I won't be going over that today. But if you do know anybody within your community who wants to work with veterans, feel free to send them our way. They can check out that information that we have right there in that pathway. So how do you use CalTAP online? Well, we'll start off with the core curriculum. When you click on one of those pathways, you get taken to a modules page. And on your modules page, there's information regarding everything from citizenship, discharge upgrades, healthcare. But what we want to look at is California benefits, module number 5. When you click on that, you're taken to the lessons page. And on the lessons page, it breaks down the benefits by name, or you can simply click on the first link, which is a benefits overview, and it will give you a PDF copy that looks like this of all your benefits, briefly going over all the benefits within CalVet. And like I said, if you check out that resource book, you can find out more information regarding that. So what are those California benefits? Well, on your resource book, starting on page 13, this is where it gets into the different benefits available for veterans, and also that PDF copy that I just showed you. But one of the main ones that we get a lot of questions about from California veterans is a tuition and fee waiver. This is a college tuition and fee waiver for dependents of disabled veterans. And so what it does is it waives tuition and fees at any state-funded school. So any UC, CSU, or California Community College. And it helps veterans save over $35 million a year in tuition fees and costs. Now, the veteran does have to have a disability rating between 0 and 100 for the dependent to take advantage of this benefit. So if you're interested in it and you have a parent that is a veteran, talk with your local county veteran service office to see if maybe this is something that you're eligible for. We've also partnered with the DMV to offer programs that make it easier for individuals to identify as a veteran, and also to celebrate and honor those within the armed forces. So there's an Honoring Veterans License Plate program. There's also a motor vehicle registration fee waiver for individuals who have a disability. I'm not going to talk too much on that, but if you think you may be eligible, talk with your CVSO. And there's also the Veterans Driver's License, which is pretty popular. This is where a individual could get the word veteran printed on their ID card. This just makes it easier for you to identify as a veteran, and you no longer have to keep that DD Form 214 in your pocket. You can find out more information there on our website, on the homepage in the middle of the screen, the California Driver's License banner. Just click on that and it will take you to more information. For those of you who like to be outdoors, there is a fishing and hunting license available to veterans with a disability. The fishing and hunting license is given to you at a reduced cost. There's also a state park pass. So state park pass that lets you into those parks without paying a fee. And I believe you do have to have a disability for this one too. All right, tax programs. I won't talk about tax programs. If you're interested in tax programs, talk with your local tax assessor. But there are programs out there for disabled veterans and veterans who want to open their own businesses. All right, and home loans, another program that I won't be talking too much on, but we do have a really good home loans program through CalVet. This is different than the federal VA home loans program. This program provides financing for veterans. It provides below market interest rates and offers low to no down payments requirements. For those of you who are in the market to buy a new home or are interested in knowing more about the program, feel free to connect with me after the webinar and I could pass you the information for our home loans guru, Brad Pedersen. He's the one who usually helps us out with these events and talks about this program. All right, for our California women veterans, we have a program that provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support. They've also, this program partners with the California Women Veterans Leadership Council, which just gives more opportunity for women within our community. For more information, you go to our website, find the Women Veterans webpage, and you could also sign up to receive more information by putting your name on the roster. We have the same program for minority veterans. It provides information, advocacy, outreach, and support. This program also helps unnaturalized veterans with citizenship and naturalization services. More information can also be found on our website underneath the Minority and Underrepresented Veterans webpage. Okay, for homes for long-term care, now you guys probably aren't in the market to find a home for long-term care, but if you have somebody in your family who's a veteran or know somebody within your community who's a veteran who's looking for this kind of help, there are 8 locations within California that provide long-term care and offer medical, dental, pharmacy, rehabilitation, and social services. These locations are everywhere from Chula Vista down in San Diego all the way to Yountville and Redding up here in Northern California. Again, another benefit that you guys probably aren't looking into much right now, but if you do have somebody that needs information about state cemeteries, there are 3 within California. One in Seaside, California, which is right outside of Monterey. One in Northern California, which is in Redding, California. And the Yountville Cemetery. The Yountville State Cemetery is for the Veterans Home, the Yountville Veterans Home. So if you aren't a part of that home, then you wouldn't be buried there. But they do have the Central Coast and the Northern California Veteran Cemetery ready for you. More information can be found on our website underneath the Cemeteries and Burial webpage. All right, so before I finish this out, I just want to go over a couple common websites that you as a student veteran should be familiar with. The first one is going to be va.gov. va.gov is going to act as kind of like a hub for veterans to get around when it comes to looking at information about disability, information about education benefits, if you want to look at veteran records or participate in the healthcare, VA healthcare. All that information can be found right there at va.gov, and it will direct you to wherever you need to be to find out that information. All right, the second one is going to be e-benefits. Now, as a student veteran, e-benefits is going to be particularly important because this is where you could find out if your classes were certified, if they cut the check for the semester or for the month already. This is where you can find that out. If you have any questions with your payments or the process of getting certified, you could always give them a call here at eBenefit. Super, super important. When I was a student, I was going here every single month and every single semester before the start of the semester just to make sure everything was fine. And finally, My Healthy Vet, which is for those of you who are participating in the VA healthcare system. On this website, you're able to check out health records. You could communicate with your primary care physician. You could refill prescriptions if you need to, and also set up appointments. So pretty helpful website. Check it out if you are attending the VA. All right, so like I said, it's a pretty quick overview of the CalTAP program. There's more information inside that resource book, so please check it out if you get a chance. If you have any questions about what I went over today, or if you have questions about my experiences or you just want to know a little bit more about what Calvet or CalTAP, what they have to offer, feel free to reach out to me. There's my email address right there, and it will be coming up again later on. So now I'm going to go ahead and pass it on to Anthony Rodriguez. Anthony Rodriguez is Calvet's LINK, the local interagency network coordinator, and he's going to go through and explain his roles and responsibilities along with the roles and responsibilities of CVSOs within California.
All right, thank you, Michael. I appreciate it. Appreciate you having me on board, and welcome everyone. We're excited about this particular webinar as it's a fantastic topic, and I'll just go ahead and jump on in and talk about what I do and how we help out. So as Wynn mentioned, I'm called a LINK. Next page, please. And we have 8 links statewide. This is a map of where we are all located. My particular area is the area in blue toward the bottom, but anywhere you may be in the state, there's someone like myself who is regionally based, and our job is to help you connect with benefits in your respective areas. Next page, please. So as I mentioned, we provide referrals. We work directly with established service providers. We also provide outreach to veterans and their families. We assist with local emergencies. One of my brethren is now helping out with one of the fires in the Bay Area. We provide leadership and advocacy to local communities. Next page. And really, our position is really unique in that we are field-based. So as far as I know, there's no position like what we have on the veteran side, on the VA side, nor is there on any of the city or county sides. And we are here to go out and know people in the community, know service providers, and connect you directly rather than send you an email or a web 800 phone number, 800 toll-free number. We can give you specific information about specific programs we know and have seen work. And that's our purpose. Next page, please. And we work very hard on being resource experts. I would say that we're very good on veteran resources for the state of California. That's our expertise. But we also learn a lot about the federal side, the state side, local city, municipalities, and also service providers. And our areas of expertise seem to be in the areas of education, employment, housing, and healthcare, along with mental health. So please give us a call if we can help you out. Next page. Now I want to talk about our relationship that we have with the county veteran service officers. Every county, and there's actually 56 of the 58 counties we have in California, have a county veteran service office. These offices are designed to help you get the needs, get your VA benefits and other needs you may have met. Next page. What they do, they provide dependents and veterans with free benefit information, assistance, and counseling, primarily because of what they do through the VA Veteran Service Connected claims, compensation claims. They have brought in almost $500 million annually. Every new year, this money comes into the pockets of veterans. And if you haven't filed a service connected disability claim, you may want to think about that and work with them to do that. Next page. They offer several kinds of assistance. I mentioned claims and compensation. That's probably the biggest part of what they do. But they also have benefits counseling. They have networking, and they provide advocacy. They work with burials. They'll get a lot of calls from spouses and children of veterans who have passed on. They can assist with pensions, life insurance, record updates, discharge upgrades. As you may know, if you don't have an honorable discharge, you would not receive as much of the benefits as if you did have an honorable discharge. And we mentioned the college fee waiver program and the veteran designation on your license. Essentially what they do is they provide the VA benefits as well as the state benefits in one location. That's the real beauty of what they do. Next page. Now this is a very important question. What is a service-connected disability? And it's important because it's a gateway and it opens the door to lots of benefits that you as a veteran may have statewide and federally. The service-connected disability is any condition, injury, or disease which has been caused by or aggravated by your active duty military service. And it is, as long as it is chronic, and that is that it's ongoing, or that it has residuals. If you have something like that, then you may be eligible to file for a service-connected disability claim. Next page. Now, if you do file for a service-connected claim, you'll receive a percentage as they call it award. So you receive 0, 10, 20, up to 100. So on this page, what I've shown is that if you did receive a 10% service-connected disability claim, at 10%, you would receive approximately $142 a month tax-free for the rest of your life. If you got a 50% rating, you'd receive around $900 roughly tax-free the rest of your life. And as you can see, at 100%, it's over $3,100. So it's important, if you're a veteran and you served active duty, to look at a service-connected disability claim as a way to compensate you, particularly if you're a student. Next page. And also, I want to show you that in the veteran resource book, which Michael referred to, we have a listing of benefits. The question is, what are my benefits if I have a 10% rating, a 20% rating, a 30% rating? And we show here on this, in this booklet, this is page 40, that between 0 and 10%, these are all the benefits that you would receive federally and state. Next page. We continue on and we show you 10 to 30, 30 to 50, 50 to 60, all the way to 100%. So that resource book, again, which is available for free, is a great resource. And this page here answers a lot of questions that veterans have, because you may not be using the benefits you're eligible for. Next page. How do I find my CVSO? Next page. How do I find my county veteran service office? Well, if you have a hard copy of the book, or if you have a digital copy of the book, you can go to this page, which is on page 187, and it lists all of the service-connected offices alphabetically by their home location. Next page. You can also go to our website, where you can see on the top banner, it says Find a Service Provider. You would click on that. Next page. And it would take you to this page. You would click in your 5-digit zip code. Next page. And then it would pop up the office near you, or you can call this 800 number, and it will ask you again for your zip code, and a respective office, the phone number of a respected office will come up. So several ways to do that. They do a great job. The majority of the benefits done by the state are done by them, and we work closely together. That is CalVet, the links, all of us with the counties, to provide you service. This is my website. This is my contact information. That's my work cell and my email. If you have any questions about anything I said, you're welcome to put something in the chat box, or give me a call or an email, and I'd be happy to help you out. Thanks very much, and I'll turn it back over to Michael. Thank you.
Cool. All right, thank you, Anthony. Appreciate that. So now we're going to hand it over to Jessica Peak. Jessica is going to talk about strategies for remote learning. Jessica, do you need help unmuting yourself? I'm not sure.
I think I'm good.
You're good. Okay, cool.
Yes. Okay. Thanks so much, Michael. Thank you, everyone, for being here today, for joining us for this really, really important workshop. There's huge relevance to everything we're all experiencing at this moment as students, as those of us who work on campus trying to offer you support. So it's a really relevant topic, and I'm glad you've joined us today. Just to give you a little bit of a background on who I am and what I do. I'm a veterans counselor. I have been a counselor at East Los Angeles College for the past 12 years. Really proud of that, because it's where I started off and where I've been counseling. And I'm also extremely proud of the service I provide to veterans. I've been the veterans counselor serving service members, veterans, and their families for the past 7 years. So next slide, please. Okay, so I talked about that relevance, the topic that we're presenting today, and how it's so relevant to our lives at the moment. And just a little, I guess, backstory. I, as a counselor, I know I have met with quite a few students who shared with me when COVID first hit us. So back when the pandemic started, prior to that, we had just started the semester. Everyone was off to a start. Either you selected your in-person classes, you had the option of choosing whichever modality, and the semester was off to a great start. We were offering our workshops, our services, and then we abruptly were advised and ordered to go home. So pretty much we, with that guidance, letting us know that we had to now work remotely and study remotely, all of everything was interrupted. So our VRCs closed down, our campuses all closed down. And I heard from our students that there were concerns of isolation. There were concerns of loneliness. They lost their routine. Our students lost a routine. They would wake up, come to school, do what they needed to do, go back home, or find work in between. There was a loss of their structure that they were so used to. And there was a lot of anxiety that was kicking in amid this pandemic. As a result, we saw students who dropped their classes. We saw students who became even more resilient and made it through their classes and did very well. So really there is a difference with the student experience and who the student was. But today's topics are going to cover how can we succeed in online learning and where can you find support. So my topics that I'm going to review today are going to be distance learning strategies, which I picked up from 5 Tips for Remote Learning During Quarantine. It's an article that was written, provided to me, actually presented to me by CalTAP, and it was written for students at UC Davis. And it was written April 15, 2020, at the start of the pandemic. So I'm going to review some of those tips, and then we're going to cover veteran services and campus support, tips from ELAC student veterans, and of course, a key resource that I will emphasize at the very, very tail end. And I'm sorry, I do have to apologize because I'm getting some interruptions right now. There's someone at my door, and hence distance learning, remote work. We have to expect all of these challenges and obstacles. So let's go ahead and proceed. So next slide, please. They can leave a message. Okay. Can you unlock the gate, unlock the gate. Okay, so hybrid, online and in-person structure versus remote learning. So we're gonna go ahead and talk about how are these modalities different, especially during a pandemic. And this is going to lend us towards discussing organization and time management as a student veteran. So when we have the hybrid online and in-person structure, we have specific times that we need to meet. For signing up for an in-person course, even for a hybrid course, there are specific times that we do need to meet. There are places that we have to study. There's the library, there's our VRC. There could be just classrooms where you want your favorite classroom and spot that allows you to study most effectively, maybe on the grass. They're on campus. If you have a financial aid question, where do you go? You go to the financial aid office, and you can go in person and speak to someone face to face. Any questions you have, any inquiries, you know where to go on campus. If you don't know where to go, we guide you. But there's always face-to-face services. So that's our in-person structure. Even if you're taking all online courses, you know that you have an open campus in person that you can go and do your inquiries. Now, remote learning, especially during a pandemic. So we're remote. We are all taking classes online. We are all providing our services online. You now have to build your own structure. So it may feel like you're in your own island, you're in your own corner, just trying to get through your online courses. But the bigger picture is that I know we've said it many times and you've heard it everywhere being broadcasted and advertised. We are all in this together, and we need to continue to support one another through this. But building your own structure, it's a challenge, definitely a challenge. But at the same time, if you are a veteran, if you are a service member, you have that structure. You need to find that structure, those skills, tap into those skills that you picked up and develop that structure, develop that discipline, because that is what is one aspect of remote learning that is so critical to be successful. So it's up to you to establish it though. So how do you establish it? Determine when, where, and how you're going to learn and study. So if you can't study in the library anymore, where are you going to study? Decide on that place in your home. Have a desk set up. Figure out where's a quiet space, a quiet room. Is there a way for maybe you to step outside when the weather's nice and maybe find, somewhere where you can be able to focus and um, and apply, your studies to the present moment. So figure out where you're going to study. Manage your time. So part of that structure is managing your time, eliminating your distractions, and of course, limiting your social media. So while it's nice to have the TV on, it's nice to have Netflix running, you really need to realize that those are distractions. And it's so easy to get distracted while you are remote learning. Limit that social media. When you're in class doing live instruction, silence your notifications. When you have carved out your study time, silence your notifications. It's very distracting when even on the screen you see pop up that someone has left you a message, someone has sent you a text message, or you have a call coming through. Maybe just silence your phone at the time. If you're a parent or you're on call due to work and you absolutely need to have it on, well then have it on, but put it aside and try not to check it as frequently as you may be. So I think some key terms that have always been pushed out or have been pushed out since the academic since the pandemic started is synchronous versus asynchronous courses. So basically, your synchronous courses is your live learning. So you have signed up for a course and there's specific days and specific times that you are required to meet with your instructor. Now, how your instructor decides to deliver that is up to your instructor. If your instructor decides, yes, this is the time, but I have live recordings or I have office hours during this time instead, it's however way the instructor wants to deliver instruction. But for the most part, synchronous is live learning, and you're learning with your classmates and peers as well as with your instructor. Asynchronous is primarily recorded lectures. There's discussion boards. You have to interact with your professor and your peers through your Canvas, and it's all done asynchronously, not live at all. So those are two terms that you have to familiarize yourself with because you will hear them around campus, you will hear them being thrown around, and it's really important for today's learning. So even if courses are not live during those scheduled times, you can watch the recorded videos or do readings during the scheduled time. That's how you develop that structure, primarily if you have the asynchronous class, carve out a time that will be your time that you're going to listen to your recordings. Definitely manage it by scheduling your own time if it's asynchronous. If it's synchronous, and let's say your professor typically meets at that time, but that class will not run at that time for that day, then still, that is the time that you will allocate to that course. So carve your specific times that you are going to be allocating to your courses, whether they are synchronous or asynchronous. Manage those times and be efficient and productive towards your studying, towards catching up with assignments, whatever you need to do. Maintain that routine to support your system of structured learning, whether it's live or not. Next slide, please. Okay, so what's important to also remember is that every single class is going to offer you a syllabus. Your syllabus is your guide as to letting you know what are the class expectations, what are you going to be learning, what are your assignments, when are your tests going to be offered. And so those are important dates that are included in every single one of your syllabi. So I would recommend that you add important dates to your calendar. So if you don't have a calendar, you need to start one up. it's really, really effective. Whether you like to use the typical agenda, where you write everything down, if that's how you best remember things or track your daily activities and your appointments, then use your agenda. But many students gravitate towards using the phone on your phone calendar. So you can use your calendar that's attached to your phone. You can also use, if you have Microsoft email system through your own campus, through your student accounts. You can also use the calendar there and just connect everything that is tied into school and keep it central to what is school relevant. I do like to combine everything that I do, whether it's work related or if it's personal, just because I want to make sure I'm not overlapping any of my commitments, and make sure that I'm spacing myself out well enough. So that's something to consider doing as well. Maybe put everything, all of your dates, all of your tests or quizzes, graduation deadlines, transfer deadlines, maybe even together with things that you have to do in your personal life, a VA appointment. Put it all into one calendar so you don't overlook any tasks and responsibilities that you have to do. One important thing I want to mention is don't overschedule your classes. Fight the temptation. You don't have as much time as you think. I do recall when I first started working with our veteran student population, I realized that many of our service members who were just making that transition and barely separating, they were probably even on terminal leave. Like they weren't even fully separated just yet. But their thing was they wanted to load up their in-person classes because they realized that they're going to have so much time in their hands. Okay. When I realized that, I thought, okay, this is something we have to emphasize to all of our students, that there's actually a lot more time you have to devote to your classes than what it looks like on paper. And so now, fast forward to now that we're online learning, there are some students who are thinking, I'm going to have so much more time because I don't have to drive to school. I don't have to drive to study. I'm just home. I don't have to leave to pick up the kids. I'm home the whole time. And so they're, thinking maybe I'll throw in more units than I normally do take on. Just fight that temptation. Don't overschedule. Something we as counselors do recommend in our guideline when we're trying to schedule our students for their courses is that keep in mind the rule of thumb is 2 hours of study time for every hour of class time is what you have to keep in mind. So if you're taking a 3-unit class, you're going to be putting about 6 hours of study time per week for that one class alone. So if you're taking a full-time load of 12 units, you're technically going to have to consider that's 12 hours a week of class time, because every 1 unit is 1 hour of class time. So that would equate to at least trying to find 24 hours of study time outside of class time for your full-time 12-unit course load. So it's a lot. And you do have to keep in mind that, it's not just academics you have to focus on. You also have your own personal things that have to get taken care of and addressed. You also have to consider your own wellness. That's a big, big component and piece to being able to balance and not overdo it. So I would recommend that if you feel that you may have overscheduled yourself, now that you may have started the fall semester, you've received all of your class syllabi, and you're realizing there's a lot on your plate, talk to your veterans counselor and see what you can do to maybe adjust your schedule. Next slide, please. Okay, so another important piece of advice is to check your technology. So check your tech. Check your internet connectivity. Make sure that you have a connection. Make sure that it's a reliable connection. Make sure that speed is there. So check your speed and see where it is and see if maybe you might need to upgrade, see if you might need to find a different provider. At the start of the pandemic, there were different providers like Charter, Spectrum, there was California Connects, AT&T, Comcast. Those are just a few of the different providers out there where they were offering free to low cost rates to students. But some of those have expired. However, if you do your research, some of them may have extended those deadlines, and since we have all schools and all colleges that are still online. So I would recommend that you go ahead and do some research if you need to upgrade, because having that faster speed really does make a difference when everything that you have to do is online. Check your technical requirements, your browsers, your plugins. Do you have everything all set up for class? Your hardware and accessories. How about your device? Are you working off your cell phone? I know some students who did, and it was really, really hard to work off of your device. When you have to do your reading, you have to spend so much time now in front of a screen. It's hard when that screen is so small. So do you have a laptop? Do you have a Chromebook? Do you have a tablet? Do you need one? Reach out to your campus and find out if there are any laptop loan programs. Find out if there are any Chromebook programs, or maybe there might be special scholarships that through your campus where you can acquire a device. If you are in Voc Rehab, Chapter 31, reach out to your Voc Rehab counselor and see if there is a way for you to be approved for a device. If you're also in Department of Rehabilitation and using benefits through the state, then find out if they will also give you a device. But make sure that you are equipped. Printer, headset, some of these might be a little optional. I know some students who didn't have a printer at all, and they were able to do it by saving PDFs, just tracking and organizing all of their files. So that is definitely possible since all your assignments are submitted online. But if you need things printed out because you like to have it in front of you, take notes, that's me, then make sure you have a printer. And again, that's something that you can talk to your campus about, and perhaps there could be special scholarship money for you to be able to purchase and acquire one. Headsets, it's optional. I know I don't use a headset, but I know others who do. So it really depends. Do you have a lot of distractions around you? If you do, a headset would be a good thing to invest in. If you don't, then maybe that's, not exactly that important for you. I probably could have used one today though with what happened earlier, but okay. Familiarize yourself with online resources required for class. So a lot of our classes and instructors use Zoom. That's how we're meeting today. That's our platform today with this workshop. So a meeting ID and password was given to you so that you can log on. It's pretty much the routine with the courses as well. But what you want to do is familiarize yourself with Zoom. There are so many features, and you certainly don't want to be in class and next thing you know, you've disconnected, and then the stress comes in because how do you reconnect? Or let's say that you have the wrong meeting ID. So things like this can happen. The pressure does build up. So just make sure that you are prepared, that you know how to use Zoom, play with it when you're not, in class, just to get used to it and learn what it's about. There's also video tutorials out there. You can probably go onto YouTube, find a lot about like getting started with Zoom and how to use it. Canvas. Now, Canvas is really important. Canvas is primarily the source of instructors for their classroom. So to present whatever their classroom is about. It is basically your virtual classroom. I know that all community colleges use Canvas. There are quite a few universities out there, Cal States, UCs that use Canvas as well. But, whatever system your school is using as that classroom site, that's what you have to familiarize yourself with once you start your classes and figure out which platform your instructor is using or your professor is using. Google Suite is another, another platform out there. I don't really use it, but who knows, you might run into, you might end up using it with your classes. Just get used to those, familiarize yourself, learn about it, take the time to definitely get used to them. Some Zoom tips. Well, thanks to the pandemic, I now know what netiquette is. I never knew there was such a word as netiquette. In fact, I don't know if they ever even had that word before the pandemic and we all went remote. But netiquette is a thing now. So just remember that when you are in your online class, when you're doing your distance learning, there are certain rules to follow, kind of like rules of the road. If you're in the fast lane and you're driving too slow, move out of the way. If you're in your Zoom meeting and you have someone who's speaking, let's say it's your instructor, they're speaking, it's their turn to speak. put yourself on mute, because if you're not on mute and distractions happen, the whole class is affected, including your instructor, who now has a hard time focusing and concentrating. So put that microphone on mute to avoid any type of interruption with your instruction, and remember to dress appropriately. And you definitely just want to make sure that you are ready to be seen by others. Some instructors will require that you leave your video on, so you can't just assume that you can roll out of bed and jump onto your Zoom classroom meeting. Just make sure that you know exactly what the rules are and expectations from your instructors, because they're all different. And those expectations will probably be in the syllabus for each class. If you have children who are also home and you're required to meet for live instruction, like let's say you signed up for a Monday class that meets between 9 to 11, and you have kids who are also doing remote learning at the time, but you're expected to be in live synchronous instruction with the video on, ask the instructor for permission to record the lecture on Zoom. Because if you have to step away, then you're going to have to step away to tend to your children. And that normally wouldn't happen in the classroom. But now that you're home and your kids are home and learning, that could potentially happen during one of your classes. So I would recommend that you do talk to your instructor, let your instructor know, this is what's going on. I have kids, and sometimes they need me, or maybe your kids are toddlers or infants. And so there's different situations, and I did run into those situations from students this past spring semester, and the instructors were willing to work with our students to record those sessions. And even for some students, they were allowed to just turn off the video momentarily and then come back as soon as they could. So next slide, please. Communicate. Connect with your instructors. So even though everyone's online, your instructors still have virtual office hours. You could do face-to-face by doing a video appointment. That's an option if you want to see them face-to-face, and that works better for you. But just reach out to them and find out, on their syllabus, it'll say when their office hours are. It'll also tell you what the preferred mode of meeting would be, telephone or video. Meet with your veterans counselor. If you're experiencing personal or academic challenges while you're distant learning, talk to your veterans counselor. Early intervention, it's critical. Like I said, I had students coming to me at the start of the pandemic, and we figured out a plan and we worked through it. We reached out to instructors to let them know this is the situation with our students, and we were able to help our student vets who found themselves struggling during that transition from in-person to remote learning. So make sure you let us know, let your counselor know if you're experiencing any personal or academic challenges. Plus, we can also connect you to resources in case that's the case. Speak, support, communicate early when needed. Oh, seek support and communicate early when needed. Definitely. Don't wait until it's too late. If you feel that you're not passing your classes, don't wait until it's too late to drop. Talk to us. Also, if you have illness, there's an illness that comes up for you, family responsibilities, financial challenges, deployments. When our National Guard was deployed during the riots recently, we had some students who were also, affected, and they were deployed, missed finals. And so we had to make sure that we supported them, but they had to reach out and let us know first. So make sure that you let your VRCs know, your counselors know about any circumstances, VA appointments that would affect you completing your classes, or would talk to your instructor if any of these would affect you attending your class. Request accommodations, those are still a thing as well. So if you are in the DSPNS program, which is our program for students with disabilities or diverse abilities, and how we changed it at ELAC to refer to it as, those accommodations are there. So if you need captions, sometimes, you might be able to find captions through your own system, but if you need captions, DSPNS can support you with that. Testing accommodations, enlarged text and print. Maybe you need to use a voice, and maybe they can provide you with the technology for any type of special technology you might want to try out to be successful. But just make sure that you request those accommodations. And if you're not in DSPNS and you're interested, go to your DSPNS office, reach out to them online, and let them know you want to get the process started. Engage in discussion forums. There are going to be discussion forums. You'll see chats, you'll see breakout rooms that might happen during your sessions, during your lectures. Google Docs might be used by your instructor. Online study groups might have to be organized as part of the classroom requirements. So make sure you are engaging in those discussion forums. Don't feel they're optional if they're not. So those are very important to keep up with your distance learning. Next slide, please. Actually, before I move on to this slide, I just want to make one quick point. Do not isolate. So it's really important during this time to keep in mind, again, that while it may feel like you are on an island, learning by yourself, doing it all by yourself, do not isolate and put yourself into that mindset. So if you ever feel that it is just you, that what are you working towards? Why are you even working, online? What is, if things don't make sense anymore, please make sure you reach out to your VRC, reach out to your counselors. Stay connected. And, when you learn to communicate, you all know how to communicate, but when you adapt to having to now learn to communicate everything pretty much and what you're experiencing to get that support, then it really does help you succeed. Okay, so let's talk about reflecting and refocusing. This should be kind of like a weekly ritual where at the end of each week, reflect on these types of questions. What worked well for you this week? What didn't work well for you this week? Which courses do you feel more confident in terms of remote learning? Why do you think this is? What are some minor adjustments you can make so that you find more success next week? So just sort of like, just reflect on how the week went. And a very important last question to ask yourself every week, or even more frequently than this, what kind of support do you need? Tutoring, could it be tutoring? Could it be the support from a professor? Do you have to reach out to your professor about something? Maybe the support of a classmate. How about the support of a family member? Now that you're home, it's easy for our family members to think that we're now available to do everything that they need help with. So communicate with your family members and just figure out, do I need that support from them to understand that this is my job right now to learn and study remotely. But definitely seek out that support and find out what kind of support you need. Do it weekly, more frequently if you need to. Because reflecting regularly on your own distance learning strategies helps you form effective work habits that will help you succeed in your courses, not just now, but even in person when we're ready to go back. Next slide, please. So, actively learn and study. Do more than passively watch videos and sit in Zoom lectures. And that is really easy to do, especially when we have maybe back-to-back classes and you're sitting in front of Zoom for a good 4 hours plus. I go to meetings all the time on Zoom. I know the feeling of feeling burnt out from being on Zoom, but it does help to make sure that you are actively engaging with these lectures, with the videos, because when you actively engage, it's a lot less likely that you're going to feel that burnout. Ask questions during lecture. So post chat messages, raise your hand or speak up during open dialogue, but actively participate. Take notes. That'll help keep you up. So make sure you take notes. If you need to stand, it's not in here, but if you need to stand just to maintain that focus, stand up. Your video will be on, perhaps. That's fine. Stand up. Do what you need to do to make sure that you are actively engaged with what is happening in front of you during lectures and videos. Record to review the lecture and develop your notes further. So let's just say your instructor says, I don't want my lecture recorded, which can happen. They're not required to record their lectures. So if you've asked your instructor if you can record it and they say no, then something you might be able to do is through your DSPNS office, if you're eligible, and if they have this system, there's something called a Sonocent audio note taker. And if you are in DSPNS, it's an accommodation that can be given to you. And it basically is an app that they will give you a license number to and access to, and it will record the lectures for you. So you can go back and revisit those recordings. Continue to practice all in-person learning and test-taking strategies. So apply your most effective learning styles. You're gonna have to tap into yourself and your learning and figure, are you a visual learner? So does that mean you're gonna need more pictures? You need more graphics. You need more, maybe you need to use highlighters, different colors, just to engage yourself with the learning if you're a visual learner. Are you kinesthetic? I said earlier, stand up if you need to. So if you need to move around, you're a kinesthetic learner. If you need to take notes, keep taking those notes, because that movement helps your brain learn. Are you auditory? Do you learn best by listening? If you do, that's really going to help you right now during remote learning for sure. But definitely tune into that auditory learning style. Retrieval practice. Practice your memory skills, because something that definitely is known is that someday we will get back to class. We will get back to being in person. And that memory, it's going to have to be sharp in terms of recalling facts and information. So keep practicing that memory and your memory memorization skills for any of your tests and content that you have. Study for your tests. That's important. Don't go unprepared into a test, even if it's online and perhaps there's not even a time limit on your test. Don't go in unprepared. Study. Review your notes daily, just as if though you were in an in-person class. Continue to review your notes daily to keep on top of the subject matter. Join a virtual study group. Maybe it's not a requirement for class, but this might be something you might want to start up, even if it's with other veterans, even if it's with other veterans who are not even in your class. Have a study group. Get together on Zoom. If you're not sure who to ask, talk to the VRC, because your VRC can connect you to your peers. Next slide, please. Next slide, please. Thank you. Okay, so we talked about some different strategies that you can incorporate. Some you may have thought, I already knew that. Some may need like new tips for you. But whatever the case, I hope that you will apply those strategies to your fall semester. And if we go beyond fall in remote learning, then continue to apply these strategies throughout our time that we are learning remotely and not able to go back onto our campuses. So that lends us into our services that we have for you. I keep talking about how you're not alone in your island. So as veterans, as service members, as dependents, children, spouses of military connected scenarios, our veteran services on our campuses are here to help you. So there's different name variations for veteran services. You'll find some centers called Veterans Resource Centers, Veteran Success Centers, Veteran Centers. Those are just to name a few. But typically, if you were to go onto the college website, and if you were to Google veterans on the college website, you'll come across the services that are there for you, okay? Keep in mind that everyone is online and providing services remotely. We haven't jumped ship. We haven't abandoned you. We are there for you, but we're just all online. So I can't stress enough to meet with a veterans counselor, but to track your progress. So counseling appointments are all conducted online. Pretty much every campus that I've spoken with throughout our LA County region, and I'm pretty sure outside of our region as well, but we are all conducting counseling appointments online. So you can meet with us over the phone, you can meet with us in video as well, but you want to continue to track your progress. Just make sure that you're on track to meet your educational goals. That's still important, make sure it's in place. If you're using your VA educational benefits, inquire with your campus VRC about the VA certification process. If it wasn't online when we were in person, it's online now. So you need to be familiar with that process. Otherwise, you're going to see delays in payments. if you're not following every step that our VRCs have established to make sure that we can certify you. So reach out to your VRC, your campus VRC, for that new online VA certification process. Stay connected and engaged with the VRC staff and services. Make sure you reach out to us. We're still here. Familiarize yourself with your college website. It's a valuable resource and connection to all of your campus's service and support. So our college website for ELAC is full of so many resources, so much information. We have live chat options that will connect our students to different services, whether it's financial aid, EOP&S, DSP&S, the VRC. We have live chat, we have appointment scheduling options that are online for students. So there are different ways that you can stay connected, and to find those ways, go to your college website and start to explore. Next slide, please. Okay, so some examples of remote veteran services during COVID-19. There's virtual VRCs, book vouchers, laptop loan programs. I'm going to skip through this. Case management, peer mentors, online tutoring, mental health and therapy is still being offered, workshops. But essentially, these are the different types of services, not just at East LA College, but in different campuses at different VRCs across LA County and California. So we're doing our best to try to still offer what we can, but do know that some services might be limited and it does vary at different locations. Next slide, please. So again, familiarize yourself with your college website. These are the different types of campus support that are still out there, waiting for you to access and available for you to access. I wanted to just sort of cover like the last two in the bottom. The CARES Act emergency assistance funding. Many of our campuses do have access to the CARES Act and providing that funding to our students. So you don't have to be a veteran to access it, but they do look at your income and your need. So I would recommend that you reach out to your campus. Always start at the VRC if you don't know where to go, and ask them about any CARES Act emergency funding that is at your campus. I know that at ELAC, I believe you can get about, I think, up to $700 extra if you're eligible through this CARES Act. And there's also college foundations that offer scholarships and vouchers, emergency assistance. You just have to inquire at your campus and see if that could be an option to help support you through this time. Next slide, please. Okay, so our VRC staff has 4 amazing peer mentors, essentially. I refer to them as our peer mentors. They have different roles, but essentially they are peer mentors, and they are a valuable piece of our program. And so I was talking to them yesterday, and we were thinking about like, well, you know, if you could give any advice to your fellow student veterans that you've learned from distance learning during COVID-19, what would it be? So here's the response that I received from some of my staff members. So refer back to your syllabus multiple times throughout the semester. Know what will be expected of you in terms of Canvas, technology, attending tests and lectures. So, so Matt, who is our STEM tutor and Marine Corps veteran, just feels that, you know, you need to refer back to your syllabus. That's an important part of remote learning to find success. Martin, who is a pre-nursing major and a Marine Corps veteran, gives the advice of do your homework. Know your due dates. When I took my last psych class during spring 2020, I made sure I completed Monday's due assignments by Friday, so I wouldn't worry about it over the weekend. You need your time to rest. You need your time to find, you know, ways that you're going to find your wellness strategies. And the weekend is a great time for that. So if you can figure out how you can free up your weekends and take care of your assignments before the weekends come, that's Martin's advice to you. Next slide, please. So Matt, who is graduating from USC this semester, a Navy veteran, he's one of our VRC tutors as well. His advice to you is attend your Zoom sessions, all of them. Don't rely on the recording because you can't ask questions while viewing a class recording. So that's good information. Can't rely on that recording because if you have a question, you can't ask once lecture is over. Our career guidance counselor assistant, Mike, who attends Cal State LA right now, this is his last semester as well to get his bachelor's in rehabilitation services, says that his advice is self-care. It's just as important as your academics. You'll be hearing about ways to find that self-care with the next presentation by US Vets. And then finally, Jose, who is a communications major at Long Beach and an Army veteran, says contact your campus VRC. When in doubt, or just whenever, reach out to your VRC for academic and emotional support. So true, and we always emphasize that to all of our vets. Next slide, please. Finally, I want to leave you with this resource. This resource is pretty amazing. It is the one resource that I would recommend as a student going through online learning at this time, distance learning, even if you don't want to be on distance learning and you'd rather be in person. Well, this site is going to offer you a lot more tips and strategies. It also offers videos, which are easy to go through. They're really short videos and clips, but they cover free or low-cost internet access to students during COVID-19. There's financial support resources like how to file an unemployment claim with California. COVID-19 emergency child care parent application is on there. They cover health and wellness, how to use Canvas. There are different modules on how to use Canvas on this website and how to access online support and services. There's other features about this website, but I would recommend that before we go to the next slide, take a picture of this resource because it is a really good one. And if you have time on your own and you want to learn more about how to succeed during distance learning, this is definitely an excellent resource to turn to. So next slide, please. Again, my name is Jessica Peak. I'm the VRC Director and Counselor at East Los Angeles College. My email is down below. That's probably the best way to reach out to me during this time. Even if you're not at ELAC and you're at a different campus, reach out to your VRC. Reach out and find out, just reach out and say hi to them. Really, it makes us feel good when we know that you're on track and things are good with you as well. So even just to say hi, it really does make a difference for both us and for you. So I want to thank you again for being here today. I also want to just sort of thank, not sort of, but I want to thank our VRC staff who's also here today and any of our ELAC student veterans who have tuned in for this workshop. This is part of our Charlie Mike Continue Mission workshop series. And that's what this is all about. Whether you're at ELAC or you're at another school or you're thinking about enrolling into school, keep in mind, Continue Mission. We're online, we adapt, we overcome, we do what we need to do, but we're not by ourselves. We're not alone. We have the support. You need to reach out to us. And if we reach to you, it's okay to reply back. Please, we want to hear from you. So wish you much success and much luck in your upcoming terms and just keep going. You've got this.
Great. Thanks, Jessica. That was some really good information. I hope some extra information I wish I would have taken into consideration when I was in school, but on to the next one. So let's go ahead. I'm going to introduce you guys to Nicole. Nicole is going to present on navigating the stressors through distance learning. Go ahead, Nicole.
Oh, thank you, Michael. Can you guys hear me okay? I just want to double check.
Yeah, you're good to go.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. So just really quickly, I am from US Vets outside the wire, specifically the Orange County region. However, we do have a Los Angeles County region, and we do have at least one of our licensed clinicians actually at the VRC East Los Angeles College, and as well as 8 other community colleges in the Los Angeles region and 7 within the Orange County region. So since I work with our veteran resource centers at our colleges, I have heard a lot and want to add another perspective on top of Jessica's wonderful presentation to see if there's a couple extra things from the perspective of mental health, self-care, emotional well-being, and trying to get some of those strategies in of creating a schedule. If we could go to the next slide, please. So just really quickly, I always like to start off with some current information. And so since our global pandemic has happened, there have been some challenges for our veteran students in the community college that initially occurred. One of the things was the original way in which our 9/11 GI Bill or even other GI bills and services were sort of distributed was that we had to be at an online format. And so one of the things that was signed by our president and legislation in Congress was to allow the transition into a webinar group, Zoom, sort of mode for all of our classes at our community colleges and state and UC colleges, so that all of those benefits could still be recognized due to the pandemic. And that was a little bit of a difficult time at the beginning. Currently, this legislation is only approved through December 21st of 2020 this year. So that is something that I know a lot of us in the community college and other schools, of course, within this country are trying to understand when we're going to be allowed back on campuses. And so we anticipate that even God forbid that it goes into any spring semesters, if that is the case, that this legislation would pass again, because this really is the main mode of providing education and furthering our learning. One other thing is just checking in, like Jessica said, with your VRC staff to see if there's anything that has changed or any support that you might need as the semester progresses with any pass-fail or dropping, anything like that. Just always reach out to your staff or representatives in your county. Next slide, please. Okay, so the reality of distance learning. Ultimately, it's been tough for everyone, but the fact that the majority of those of you that are within a college system as a veteran, you're most likely juggling many roles, many responsibilities, whether that is work, school, parent, spouse, significant other, sibling, child, friend. You probably may not live alone, and you may have a lot of people around you in your home. So with that, there's going to be an extra weight of heaviness, so to speak, that we're going to feel mentally, physically, and emotionally. If you haven't felt it yet, I hope that it stays that way for you. But if you have, although it doesn't feel good, a lot of us are feeling it in different platforms. So one of the things I wanted to really dive deeper in is the way that change naturally affects all of us, but ultimately how everything with this global pandemic has impacted us and how we essentially communicate, understand, relate to the world. And one of those things is recognizing that students, adults, children, educators, parents, and family members have all been impacted. And there's a really strong possibility that you fit some of these. Most likely, you're a parent, you're a family member, you could be a child, you could be living with your parents and have your own children in the same home, on top of working full-time and being a veteran student. So one of the things that was mentioned is isolation. It is very easy for those of us who are introverts, or very easy to get into a habit, as that's human nature. So recognizing that the way things are set up, when they say only go to the store for essential needs, only make trips for essential reasons, it is discouraging, and it is very difficult for us to one day wake up and no longer be able to walk on campus, walk to our office, if you work in an office, or even if you worked in a store, whether that was with clothes or a factory, everything has really changed for everyone. And the difficulty with that is there wasn't a progression of change to slow down, it just happened. And with that, it can result in symptoms of stress, trauma, and ultimately change. And the difficulty with that is this all impacts our learning as well as our relationships, our memory, our communication, our overall well-being is challenged. Next slide, please. So with that said, how could distance learning be adding to stress? I know there's a lot of people who have mentioned the fortunate side of maybe not having to travel as much, not drive, not be in traffic, the distance time is shortened. However, there's a whole nother added component when you're on a computer or a screen format all day. And if your mode in the past was to disconnect or have a moment of just taking a break, so to speak, you would get on your phone, maybe you would get on a tablet, you'd call someone, maybe you'd watch television, watch movies at night. I mean, nowadays, some cars even have screens for navigation. We can't get away from a screen. So it's extremely difficult. So with that in mind, how do we define stress? So stress is our body's natural reaction to change that requires an adjustment or response. So our body will start to send signals to us when we are not feeling good. And when I say feeling good, I mean we can be feeling emotionally exhausted, frustrated, irritated, tired, but we can also feel tired and exhausted from relationships, from having to study, from having to sit on the computer screen all day, having to do everything on a phone call rather than in person. It's extremely taxing for all of us. And so with that said, when these different signals of stress happen, it's extremely important for us to be aware of them and take note of them. So one of the things I also want to add really quickly is that stress is a natural part of life. It is a natural human experience. Does it feel good? Most of the time it doesn't. However, there is a necessary benefit of stress in that it allows us to learn where our natural comfort and relaxation is, and how high of an intensity we can be overwhelmed with so many different responsibilities and things within our day. At first, it may have seemed in March, April, maybe even May for you, that there was sort of this bizarre adjustment to everything just closing. And maybe you felt like you had a lot of extra time. And with that extra time, you filled it with things like watching television, reading, maybe you slept, maybe you just relaxed, maybe you did catch up with people on technology platforms. But now, as we have gone through the most of our summer months and we're going into what looks like fall in California, it's probably getting a lot busier, and there's probably also a sense of agitation, frustration, stress. And if you're not feeling that, it's probably been very apparent for you to easily pick up that awareness in other people when you go to the store or anywhere else for that matter, or just trying to talk to people. Maybe even your family is frustrated and tired. It's understandable. The difficulty is that this is something none of us have ever experienced before or navigated, where one day everything is working and the next day everything is on hold. And we're using terms like essential and things like that. It makes it very difficult on top of any other things that are going on within our nation or our world or our community. So with that said, this question right here on the second part, it says, does this apply to me since transitioning from in-person courses to remote learning? If you say yes, you're not alone. That may not actually help too much, but it's to let you know that this is an experience that we're all having. And with that said, we have been able to figure out different benefits and resources, and coping skills and ways to support each other, as we're all different in some ways when needing to relax or get motivated, or have stress. So it's important to navigate all that. If you say no, and you haven't been feeling stressed with any of this, or for some reason or another, a lot of this may not feel like it's relevant to you. Is this relevant to someone else that you know, maybe in your family, in your home, a friend? Can you think of maybe how all of this has impacted others that you're closely connected with? Because as things impact people, sometimes it slowly trickles over into us. So if we could go to the next slide, please. Thank you. So physical signs of stress. This is something to be aware of. The difficulty is a lot of times when we have physical ailments, it's very easy for us to think, okay, maybe it's a cold, maybe it's a flu, maybe it's seasonal allergies, maybe you've thought it's COVID-19. There's a lot of things that come up for us. And if you're an adult and you are a person who's had a good amount of adversity in life and you have a strong character and work ethic, and you feel like you might be the sole person that everyone relies on within your family or your network of friends or community, there's a good chance that you're not going to want to acknowledge any of these symptoms, for just the sole purpose of, I don't have time to focus on that. How is it going to help me? How am I actually going to get help in the state of everything? So being aware of how these signs come up physically does help us understand and ask questions like, am I stressed? Am I overwhelmed? Because sometimes our physical ailments are actually messages and signals of our emotions and our mental thoughts and everyday life, how they culminate together, of trying to tell us, hey, are you taking care of yourself? So if you're a person who ever gets tension headaches or migraine headaches, or you have neck pain, shoulder pain, back pain, a lot of that is possible. The difficulty now is if you're sitting in front of a computer every day, you may feel that more than not, but just because you're aware of it now does not mean that it's not stress. Also being aware that a natural form of stress is having digestive issues. So stomach pain, the feeling of a nervous butterfly stomach, nausea, if you do have constipation, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, those things actually are also a result of stress. A lot of times when we think of maybe elementary school age children, if they have a presentation or something important like picture day, they might express not feeling well, their stomach might hurt. A lot of times that's a form of nervousness, anxiety, which ultimately can lead to stress, especially if we are prone to being nervous or anxious naturally, and we have a sense or a self expectation that we want to be a certain way or handle something a certain way. That does add stress. And the reproductive system, it's being aware that stress impacts everything. So overall, if your desire to want to be intimate, your desire to express emotions or compassion, or anything like that with your significant other or even your family is a way that shows something is off, everything else is too much or overwhelming, and the ways in which you may have been able to communicate or lessen that amount has significantly decreased even more. Changes to your heart rate and blood pressure are very common as well. It probably will look like being on both ends, very sporadic, because a lot of us have calmed down a lot, at least within the first few months of stay-at-home orders. People spent a lot of time watching Netflix or walking around, but kind of having what seemed as a slower pace of life. Now that we're in a new school semester for elementary, junior high, high school, college, adults, it feels like people have adjusted to the last 5 to 6 months, and there are more strategies and ways to try to be safer, but get back into school and work and other places slowly. That can also be this awkward phase of something we also haven't experienced, is how do I manage some of the time being on the road or going somewhere, recognizing everyone's on the road even if they're not at work or school. We need to get out, and then recognizing I do need to be home, I need to have internet access, and everyone's on their internet. So being aware of those things. So if you are more susceptible to any of these physical symptoms, just checking in with yourself and being aware of where that level is each day. Next slide, please. So here are just some quick things that I wanted to throw out there for you guys as far as your emotional health. I know a lot of times we think of these elaborate, very abstract therapeutic techniques to help us, but sometimes we just need everyday solutions that are going to get us through the next hour, because that's really where we are sometimes. Sometimes it's the next 10 minutes. So in the smaller print here, I have the actual evidence-based research for how each of these things help. However, the things that are typed in bold, like be kind to yourself, journal, write things down, just breathing, deep, long breathing that people might do in meditation or yoga, listening to music, chewing bubble gum, getting outside, trying to take a 10-minute walk in between your meetings or your classes, smiling as if you actually are meaning it. When you hear jokes, watch a comedian online. All of these things actually have, whether it's a chemical response or an emotional response that then sends a message to our body saying, hey, it's okay to relax and lessen that stress. Next slide, please. Okay, so how can I support my mental health? So begin with giving yourself some care and compassion. I know that seems so much easier said than done. However, it's extremely crucial. So practicing self-care, recognizing what work environments, personal environments, do you feel overwhelmed, stressed, time is closing in on you. That could be the workplace. If you're doing meetings and everything remote, you may actually be working more than you actually worked when you were at your actual place of work. You could need to maybe give yourself more physical self-care. Maybe you never, were active at the gym or really working out, but it was something you always kept in the back of your mind, like, when I have this done or when I finish that, I'm gonna do that. This might be a time to get really creative. If you can, put a bunch of books on your laptop monitor and try standing for one of your classes or for work. Try that. You can create your own DIY sit stand. Psychological. If you find yourself that when you used to commute to school all the time, you listen to music, but you're not commuting and you're like, what is missing? I need my music. Can you throw the headphones in while you're working on papers? Can you listen to music while you're doing the dishes? Or when you go on a 5-minute walk in between classes, can you listen to music? Reminding yourself of the things that supported you initially before everything in your natural schedule changed is crucial and helpful. If you feel like maybe emotionally, spiritually, or relationship-wise, you've become disconnected, maybe other people have actually done the disconnection. They don't want to leave their home. Maybe you feel more comfortable leaving, but yet you have no one to engage with. How do you find those ways of support and connection? Jessica mentioned that, checking in with the VRC staff is a great way of people who will open you with wide arms and be there for you. I know some VRCs are doing Zoom lunches. They're doing it to check in with each other, even though we're on this weird digital platform. Next slide, please. I'm trying to get through these for you guys because I want to make sure for those of you who may have to go can get all these slides today. I know they'll probably be on the website later, but just in case. How am I supposed to take care of myself, my relationships, now that everything has actually happened? So recognizing this is about maintaining healthy, supportive relationships and ensuring you have a diversity in your relationships. What diversity means in your relationships is if you find yourself working more from home or solely doing extra college classes, how can you step outside the classroom platform or the work platform and meet other people or reconnect with people that you used to spend a lot of time with? Is there any family members that you could do a FaceTime call with? Anyone you haven't texted in a while. If you used to be a person who either went to church or did singles groups or took the kids out to an amusement park, how do you find those creative ways to do that, even if it's once every couple of weeks? Kind of spreading out your time with different types of people is going to help you also find that balance and fluctuation of not having to feel the pressure of focusing solely on school or work or family. We all kind of need a break, and sometimes there's certain people in our lives in different environments who remind us of that, and they can call us out and say, hey, you need a break for a second. Let's go out to dinner or grab it and go sit somewhere and eat if we can't eat inside. Also, considering outside resources like family therapy, couples counseling, support groups. Part of the wonderful nonprofit organization I work with, US Vets, we offer veteran women's groups on Mondays and Wednesdays. It's Monday Wellness, or Wednesday Wellness and Monday Motivation, excuse me. We also have a support group on Wednesday mornings with all of our veteran college students who talk about anything and everything just because they want that extra platform for an hour to just talk to each other and vent because no one understands the many roles that they have. On Thursday afternoons, I'll also hold a psychoeducation group on different mental health, wellness, and relationship topics as far as boundaries, addiction, distance learning, family dynamic roles. All these kinds of things are becoming more prevalent as we're spending more time closer to home and those that we live with and are related with. And so sometimes it's okay to have outside people who know things or can help give you that extra time that they've researched to give you some tips on something. Because with all of the things that you have going on, it's hard to find more ways to figure it out or research it, and you're already exhausted. So how do you get certain things like that done and supported the way you need it? Next slide, please. So the importance of a routine. A lot of mental health experts and medical doctors as well have done lots of research on the importance of routines, whether it is an elementary or junior high student or a college veteran student, if you are one. We all need routine. Routine is related to people in general and humans. It's not necessarily an age thing. So with that, finding some of these things or recognizing the importance of these things to create a routine. Trying to wake up the same time every day, going to bed the same time every day, making sure you're still taking care of yourself. All of these good habits help you build your emotional stamina and your mental stamina. If you're doing things to a certain schedule, you're feeling good. When you complete something early, you feel accomplished. If you feel accomplished, your mood is going to feel slightly better. If your mood and you feel slightly better, you're probably not going to have as much tension from a headache. You're probably not going to have the stomach ache. Therefore, everything starts to feel slightly better, even if it's one day a week. If you can start out doing small steps, that builds up over time. So recognize maybe an area at which you can create some sort of routine. Next slide, please. So new strategies in distance learning. Like I had mentioned before, waking up the same time every day, getting ready for the day, even if you weren't a person who maybe felt the need to dress up, it's not about dressing up. It's about trying to start your day with a different perspective of, okay, I'm starting work, I'm starting school, I'm gonna go run an errand. It helps you to be able to physically transition through different parts of your day, especially based off of your attire. It may sound slightly strange, but if you ever go to work and maybe you're a person who does something with work that is very, physical or arduous, maybe you wear a uniform. When you come home, most likely you're gonna want to take off that uniform, and it kind of gives you a sense of relief. So recognizing that these different environments that you are interacting in, if you start your day with one mode of I got school, I got work, I got class, I got this and that, and then at a certain time, I can put my pajamas back on, or I can put my stretchy pants on, whatever it is. That helps you feel like one part of your day has now left and it's the other, even if you haven't gone anywhere. If you haven't tried it, I highly suggest it. Continuing to try to keep up with your snacks and meals. Limit your use of electronic device. One thing I did want to mention, if anyone is familiar with the blue light that is emitted from an HDMI television, I think I said that right, a cell phone, laptop, any type of electronic device emits a blue light. If you haven't Googled blue light eyeglasses, or you haven't looked it up or heard about it, you might want to do that. There are some places that sell them for $10, $15. If you don't have a prescription, that's totally fine. You wear your blue light lenses, because what it does, every single day that we have now increased our amount of technology and blue light, we are actually chemically diminishing our serotonin. Along with our serotonin, that's what helps us sleep at night. So for those of you who have felt a sense of insomnia, or you're tired throughout the day and then you're restless at night, part of it's probably the routine, part of it's the emotional and mental difficulty, but the other part is the different rays that are being emitted by our different transitioning from being out there in the actual world to inside world now. So we're depleting different chemicals every single day that we didn't know we were, or to the extent we were before. So that's one extra thing I wanted to share with you guys, because that also does promote headaches and insomnia. So don't forget that. Next slide, please. Okay, so this is the last slide. Here are some resources for you. If you are a veteran student specifically, if you're not, that's okay. One thing I did want to mention, on the website for va.gov, I put like a couple tutorial and steps there related to all of the GI Bill and benefits. If you ever like to do your own research, you can absolutely follow up with all the different representatives, whether it's in your county through the link or at your campus through the VRC. However, I do know sometimes people like to research it and then come up with the questions and ask others. So I put that there for you because it was related to the first couple of slides I presented. The organization that I work with is US Vets Initiative. We're a nonprofit. We are actually all over the United States. Wonderfully, I am out of the Los Angeles Patriotic Hall. However, I work predominantly in Orange County at different community colleges. And for those of you that are in California, and if you're specifically living in Orange County or LA County, and you would like support with case management, or you need support with counseling, or you would like to attend any of the groups that I mentioned earlier throughout the week, or you're just curious, feel free to visit these websites. I put our Los Angeles number on the bottom on phone numbers, and then our Orange County number underneath that. You can call and leave a voicemail. We also do individual therapy services, couples therapy services, family therapy services, if there is a need for a couple or a family living with a veteran. And we also support providing all of these therapeutic services to dependents as well. I hope this was helpful and informational, and I greatly appreciate CalVet and CalTAP for having us on today. Thank you so much. And then this is my work cell phone number and email address in the event that you want to find out further about any of those groups that I mentioned, or who our clinicians are at different Orange County colleges or Los Angeles County colleges. Thank you so much.
All right. Thanks, Nicole. Appreciate that. Let's see. So now we're going to go right into the questions and answers panel. Let me see if we have any questions, because right now it's looking a little slow. Let's check that out. Okay, now nothing's coming in right now. If you have any questions for any one of the presenters, you're more than welcome to add it into the chat, or if you want to use the raise hand feature on Zoom, feel free to do that. We'll give you a call, or we'll call you out. But if not, we'll give it a couple more seconds and then we could probably end out the day. I'm not seeing anything right now though. If you do have any questions, if it turns out that you do have questions for us, feel free to give us a call at 1-800-952-5626. Again, that's 1-800-952-5626. That's going to be the direct number that that patches you into one of the links around California, and they will be able to direct your questions to wherever they need to go. If it's to one of us or if it's to somebody at a CVSO, they could help you out with that. I'm still not seeing any questions come through, so I'm going to go ahead and shut it down now. Again, I just wanted to thank you guys for being here today. Thank you, East LA College and Jessica, for giving us the opportunity to participate in this webinar. We look forward to the next one. Everybody have a good day today, okay?